Joe Rogan loves a good fight when it comes to UFC. As a podcaster, he does not mind jousting with the establishment either. Over the weekend, he responded to accusations that his #1 podcast spreads misinformation about COVID-19.
So my pledge to you is that I will do my best to try to balance out these more controversial viewpoints with other people's perspectives. I am going to do my best in the future to balance things out. I'm going to do my best. But my point of doing this is always just to create interesting conversations and ones that I hope people enjoy.
Spotify, the exclusive home of the Joe Rogan Experience, also faced backlash. Some music legends like Neil Young, Joni Mitchell pulled their music from the platform, citing misinformation. Spotify responded saying they support free speech, but all podcasts containing COVID-19 content will now receive a content advisory. Let's get a deeper look tonight. Joe Rogan, Spotify, free speech, business. Andrew Lieb, a business attorney and host of his own podcast, the Liebcast, is with us tonight. Andrew, good to see you again. Let's set aside ethics for a moment, if we could here. Is Spotify liable for misinformation? Since my understanding is it doesn't only host his podcast, it publishes it, the Joe Rogan podcast. Are they on the hook?
Chance right to the jugular. I love where we're going. And Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act defines the provider and defines the producer differently. And interestingly, it says in whole or in part. And I know you love my highlights, Chance, but I want to show you that I pulled it up before we went on because I knew you were going to ask this question. It says information content provider over here. That's what it says. It says that person includes who does it in part. And by paying him, they're not protected like a Facebook would be. They're not protected like a Twitter would be. It's their product. They own it.
Okay. So where is the line between healthy skepticism and misinformation legally? Because here's the fact of the matter. Dr. Fauci has been wrong before. At times, the CDC did seem to have misled the public about, like, the importance of wearing a mask at the beginning. And they said, well, it's because we didn't have enough or whatever. So it's not a crime to be skeptical, but you also do not want to, let's say, kill people with misinformation.
So we have this miscommunication in this entire United States about the First Amendment, and I have to start with that to answer your question. The First Amendment is only when the government restricts your speech. So we're not talking about that whatsoever right now. What we're talking about is a private actor making speech. And your question squarely hits on what's called a negligence statement. Negligence means that, hey, I had a duty. I breached that duty, and it was a substantial factor in injuring someone. Now, I will tell you the law is different in every state. But in most states, it says you need a special duty, and the speaker needs to be on notice that someone's going to act. But they're very close to the line there, especially Joe Rogan. So what they did, and you know, Chance, they're smart, they added this advisory. Why they do that? To say, hey, don't rely on our speech. Here's a way out. Kind of like Tucker said, hey, I'm entertainment. I'm not the news.
Okay, it's like a built-in 5-second delay type deal. Rogan, he has the First Amendment rights, which we talked about, but he's also, of course, bound by a contract like any other employee, I think. If he becomes a bigger headache than he's worth, at this point, it seems Spotify isn't saying, Joni Mitchell, we love you, Joe Rogan, you're gone. But could Spotify fire him and not pay the $100 million?
Again, I just need to emphasize that he's not protected by the First Amendment when it comes to Spotify. Spotify can fire him. Now, the question is, could they fire him for cause? And we'd have to read his contract, which I've not studied, to know if they'd be able to say it's for cause. That being said, let's go digress this whole conversation. People like you and me go over this all the time. You started the segment, courting controversy. At some point, courting controversy is why everyone's tuning into Spotify. I'll give you a great example. I was on last week on your sister station, Court TV, and his excellent host, Mike Ayala, asked me a question about affirmative action. If I was one of these guys, I could have said something and referencing that he's an African-American and asking him about his job. But I didn't, because that's not the right thing to do, and it's not appropriate or proper or have any relevance whatsoever. These people intentionally choose to court controversy because they know controversy gets clicks. And what we need is someone to be like you and stay above the fray.
Oh, boy, it's messy. Andrew Lieb, a business attorney and host of Lieb podcast. All right, keep that highlighter handy. Thank you, Andrew.
Thanks, Chance.